The Human Centipede franchise is the most grotesque horror franchise created, and here's why. I remember watching the first Human Centipede when I was in high school. A friend shared her experience about watching this movie, and the fact that she stated it was a must-see due to how weird and nasty it was. I immediately had to watch it. If you are into watching horror that uses psychology, experiences the darkness from a sadistic person's point of view, and body horror, this franchise is what you have been searching for. The franchise is an underground cult phenomenon, and to be honest, it's not a franchise that I would recommend to anyone. It is grotesque to its core, human torture that will make your skin crawl. Human Centipede was not released to the masses, but it did debut at the box office with a low opening of $12,424.
That shit stank, don't it? Ugh.
Keep in mind that the movie budget was 1.5 million euros. The movie in regards to numbers was an obvious failure, only making $337,906 worldwide. Reviews for this movie are surprisingly not as bad as I believed they would have been, but I do believe a solid 6 out of 10 would have been reasonable. Rotten Tomatoes score is currently at a 4.9 out of 10 by critics, but a very low at 2.9 by the audience. At the time where it was released, nothing like it had been released into the movie world. I would say the closest to it might have been Hostel, where it showed horror through body torture. Body horror is a subgenre within the horror genre that goes back to the 1950s. While I have never seen The Fly, I can imagine how different that movie was perceived when it came out to the horror world. The Fly is tagged to be one of the first body horror movies in the cinema world. This video is not about breaking down the 3 movies within the Human Centipede world, but about going through them and looking into how these 3 movies make up one of the most unsettling body horror franchises to date. I have always enjoyed when franchises use the same actors within the movies. In my eyes, the aspect of consistency and relatability are important when characters are played by the same person. On the first Human Centipede, the main protagonist is played by late German actor Klaus Lasser, and he is also the main character in the third installation. In Human Centipede 2, English actor Lawrence Harvey is the main character, and the unique thing is that he is a co-star with Klaus on the last Human Centipede, playing roles that have no connection to the prior 2 movies. While they are the same actors, they both play different characters within the franchise. A quick look into Human Centipede 1. What happens when you run into trouble and are stuck on the road in the middle of nowhere? You look for help from anywhere you can find it. Unfortunately, the initial 2 characters find a private home-like cabin as they were searching for help. The main reason Human Centipede was an effective movie was due to the location of where the movie takes place. Usually a house is a representation of safety. In this movie, the house becomes a trap for human mutilation and an experiment. Director Tom Six turns thoughts that are usually good things into horrendous thoughts. For example, a beautiful home from the outside more than likely would be perceived to be a family home, or someone with money or wealthy with means that definitely could help lives there. Example 2, a surgeon / doctor. Usually a doctor is someone respectable that people usually rely on. And the last thing, daytime. Bad things can't really happen during broad light, can they? The struggle between an insane doctor and 3 victims is worth the while. I remember watching the movie in my teens, and while part of me did not want to continue watching the movie due to the explicit scenes, the part of me where I couldn't believe what I was seeing kept winning. Human Centipede 2 starts with a bridge of the last clips of the first movie transitioning to the new movie. A man is watching the movie Human Centipede. Here you see the main character, Martin. One immediately feels the uneasiness in the world of the Human Centipede 2 as it is being introduced to the viewer. The black and white aspect of the film creates an opportunity to emphasize some of the gruesome parts of the story, which I am glad that the director does not rely on and only uses it in one scene. In one's opinion, this movie is an example of how to introduce a new concept / protagonist following the initial movie, without directly relying on the initial movie. Human Centipede 2 follows the life of Martin, someone that is awkwardly obsessed with the Human Centipede film. We immediately understand how seriously obsessed he is when he is going through his scrapbook that is filled with scenes and details from the first movie. This movie is disturbing. It is definitely not for everyone, and it makes you think, how the hell did people come out with these concepts? Things like masturbation with sandpaper, bullying leading to retaliation to kill, and the insane scene of the death of recently born baby made this movie hard to watch and incredibly grotesque. Martin is opposite of what Dr. Heiter is. You can soundly assume that the director explored the ideas of using opposites to create the first and second Human Centipede movies. Dr. Heiter is a successful surgical doctor, and Martin, well, he's a mother's boy that works as a security guard that is obsessed with a movie that he wants to recreate and eventually grossly does. Human Centipede 3 is a combination of the prior two movies with a twist of parody. I could only watch this movie for so long before saying to myself, this really ain't worth watching. Nothing really new from the prior two movies is introduced in this third movie, other than the movie as a whole taking place in a bigger place, which is a state prison, and with the intent to make the Human Centipede bigger and more outrageous, which ends up being visually not believable. After going through the entire roller coaster of what the Human Centipede is in a nutshell, if you are into body horror, there are worse movies out there than this set of films. I would personally just watch the first two movies. At first glance, I thought I needed to complete the trilogy, but for this franchise, the third one is really not worth the watch. As shared at the beginning of the video, Human Centipede is a European-made film. While the first movie was not banned, the second one was banned from the UK, New Zealand, and Austria. Human Centipede 2 perfectly depicts the gruesome and peak of what the series has to offer. So what do you think about the Human Centipede? Have you watched it yet, or do you plan to watch it in the near future? Share your thoughts down in the comment section, and I'll catch you on the next one. Take care, and thank you for watching.